The person who is connected to rose quartz tends to be the big love. Like they have a really big open heart chakra. They tend to be so loving and they tend to get hurt easily. And so a lot of that chapter is about healing the heart and teaching that person how to keep that heart open yet protected.
Hi, I'm Ashleigh, and welcome to the Big Crystal Energy Podcast. This is a place for the crystal curious, arcane-minded, and everything in the in-between. In this podcast, we will jump down the rabbit hole into the metaphysical, esoteric, occult, and spiritual realms. Nothing is off limits. I'm a mom, wife, an orthopedic physician assistant by day, and a seeker of all things spooky and kooky by night. I've spent my entire career in the medical field, but have always felt like there is more out there, and this is where we will explore together. We will have conversations with crystal healers, rock hounds, artists, musicians, spiritual coaches, magic makers, and anything woo-woo that strikes our fancy. Let's take our spiritual journey to the next level. So grab a crystal, pour a cup of tea. It's time to feel the big crystal energy. Welcome back to Big Crystal Energy, the podcast where we dive into the mystical, the magical, and the meaningful. Whether you're walking your path under moonlight or fitting in your magic between work shifts and carpool duty, today I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by someone whose work I really admire, Jenny C. Bell. Jenny is a spiritual witch, Reiki master, meditation teacher, and the creator behind Our Coven, a beautiful online witchy community. She's also the host of Cozy Coven Chats podcast, where she explores all things witchcraft, warmth, humor, and deep insight. But the real star of today's show is her brand new book, Spirit Crystals, Discover Your Crystal Guide for Healing and Empowerment. This book isn't your typical crystal encyclopedia. It's an invitation into deep personal transformation guided by your own spirit crystal. We'll be talking all about how this book came to life, how you can discover your own spirit crystal, and what it means to work with stones, not just as tools, but as teachers. Jenny, welcome to the podcast, girl.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yay! I'm so glad we were able to connect. I'm so excited to hear all about this book. I'm wearing my own little I decided that I was going to wear this ancient piece of clear quartz that I've had since my college days. I think this is like my own personal original spirit crystal. So yes, welcome.
I just went through like all of my crystals this weekend with my son because he wanted to see them all. And I found my original piece of clear quartz. I was like, this is my first piece of quartz I've ever got. And it was like same story, like college. Yeah.
Isn't that funny? I totally relate to you with that because I had this little necklace and it's on like this horrible little piece of leather. And then I had one little piece of clear quartz and I still have it with me today. And honestly, I just feel so like I just love these two little pieces. They're not worth anything other than just like my spiritual bond to them, but they're always just so meaningful. And every time I see them, I'm like, oh, there they are. That was the beginning.
Yep. You're friends for a long time now.
That's right. So tell me a little bit about you and who you are and what you're up to. I know you have a lot, you have a lot of different things going on.
That's how it appears, right?
Well, it does, being the podcast, your online community, the book, your mom, all of the things.
Yeah. So big question. Who am I? I am a mom for sure. That's like first and foremost. So summers are very interesting. It was interesting timing when they're like, hey, your book's going to come out in July. I was like, oh, wonderful. That was very sarcastic. Like super excited to have a book out. But I was like, oh, the summer when everyone's home. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm making it work. Yeah. I've been a witch since I was 13. And I have been a crystal fan forever. I'm a Taurus sun, so I love like rocks and earth. But when I was like about 19 or so, I was my geology club treasurer in college. And I also took a class at my local metaphysical shop on the healing powers of crystals. And my professor never knew. He's like, you're not one of those people that like believes in the powers of these crystals. It was like, oh no, definitely just here for the science, you know? Never. So I would say they were like my first love into witchcraft. Like I've studied herbalism since completed an herbalism course last year, deeply into gardening and herb. That's all new. Like crystals have been my allies and my friends for a really long time. And so that's, I don't know, I wouldn't say I'm a crystal witch. I just call myself a witch. You know, in the 90s, we didn't have It was like Wiccan, pagan, or witch. That was it.
Right.
And so I just go by witch. And I like to think of myself as being grounded for someone who says they channeled their book. Like to say, and that's probably one of my biggest like compliments or flexes is like, oh, you're much more grounded than I would assume for someone that believes in what you believe in. It's like, I think that's a compliment. I'm not really sure.
So yeah, of course. I love it. So how did you decide? I mean, usually these ideas for books get sparked way back, or where did this idea come from?
Yeah, so I work with crystal skulls, and the last chapter in my book, I talk about, I could probably maybe one day I'll write a whole book, but I could definitely write up a whole book on crystal skulls and being a skull keeper. But
oh my gosh, I, for one, would love that.
Yeah.
I love crystal skulls as well. I loved your podcast episode about crystal skulls too.
Yeah, and I have like my favorite, her name, she's right here. So she's always with me. She's a clear quartz. She's actually a Lemurian quartz crystal skull, and she's hand carved. And anyway, I could talk about her for a long time. But I like to open my Akashic records. So again, we're stepping out of the grounded. And I would just go in and I ask every week, like, what do I need to know? And I'm a teacher on Udemy, and I'd already had 3 or 4 classes on there. And I opened the records, and I'm like, what's the next class? And then immediately the guides were like, spirit crystals. I was like, tell me more. And so I still have the audio recording, but it all came in that one Akashic records. It was like super fast. I'm a like clairaudient. And so I hear and I just speak. And so I always record all of my Akashic records readings. And it's just like boom, boom, boom. All the stuff came out. And then later when I was like putting the book together, I would do research. And it was so cool because like the research would back up what I channeled. But it was stuff I didn't actually ever read before. And so that was just, I don't know, added to the synchronicity, added to the fact that like this needed to be born, basically.
So when you say that you open the Akashic records, you're able to read that for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And for other people, but I don't do it professionally. I'll do it for like, I'll do it for friends and family. Done it for like land. You know, you can open your Akashic records for your land to connect with like land spirits or ancestors. I've done it for situations, pets, things like that.
Wow, that's amazing. I've had my Akashic records read. I guess I never really thought about if someone was able to read them for themselves, but I guess that would make sense if you know how to do it and you are able to channel those messages. I don't see why you wouldn't be. I guess I just never really considered that, but that's really interesting. So then you got this download, the spirit crystals, and then you started putting it into work, or how did it go from there?
Yeah, so then I started I love quartz. And all the spirit crystals are in the quartz family. So I had all of them already. And so I started like connecting with each one. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to connect with each one individually and get more information from them. And so I would just sit with the crystals in meditation, get information. And then it started off as a Udemy class, which is no longer available because now it's a book. And I had a lot of questions in there so that I could get feedback from students, because it was important to me to know, is this really working? Are you able to retrieve your spirit crystal? And when you do you connect with it? Are you feeling that it's something that's helping you? There was so much that I really wanted to know. And overall, it was so positive because a lot of them would take my initial crystal class and then they would go into that one and they would just love it. And it was a lot of people that already did things like gave Reiki, and then they were incorporating finding people's spirit crystals for them during Reiki sessions and kind of adding that to whatever else they might give them after the Reiki session for healing. There was a lot of psychics and card readers taking it and adding that to what they were doing. So it was definitely a lot of them said it added to what they already were doing, and they really enjoyed it. And there was a lot of great feedback. And so then I pitched the idea to Llewellyn as a book. I was like, we can make this into a book. I was a teacher for 13 years. So I was an English teacher. And so it's I can definitely take the video idea, the classes, and translate that into a book. I felt very confident about that. And that's what I did.
Wow. Yeah, I love that because when I've had Reiki myself, I know that the woman that I usually go to, she always works with crystals with it. And then she always offers me something at the end of the session. And usually then if it's a stone that I don't normally work with, then I'll maybe go to the metaphysical shop that's near the Reiki center or whatever we want to call it. And it always just really adds another element to it. So I think, yeah, I can see how that would be just another tool in your tool belt when you're helping people and you're working with people.
Yeah, it's great for people like that. It's great for anybody. But yeah, if people, especially if you're already in the field of metaphysical and healing, it's just something different. A lot of people we all could use different tools. So I'm not saying like this is the end all be all book, right? You only need these, but it's just it's a tool for people to use on their path.
Did you have, aside from when you had the Akashic record reading, did you have any other personal experience that made you realize a crystal could serve as a guide?
Yes. I recommend everybody get Reiki 1. Just like if you're at the spiritual path, just go, even if you're never going to give other people Reiki, it opens you up, I feel. And so after my Reiki, like 1 and all of that kind of went through, I just started having like really vivid meditations and dreams, and they all were like clear quartz related. And so then I was like, this is like beyond just, the old thought in metaphysical is like you can just program a crystal. Like that's how people would use it. It's like put them on their altar as decoration, or they program it for a certain thing. And this was more like building a relationship.
See that? Yeah, I love that. So what's your spirit crystal? I mean, I know you work with quartz, but do you have one that you really feel super connected with?
So I work with all of them, and I had to in order to write the book and get into it. But yeah, I'm a clear quartz all the way. That's such a deep connection. I can't even like really put it into words, and I can't turn them away to like, I will rescue them. So like if I'm at a thrift store and there's a piece of quartz and I'm like, it looks sad, I'm going to take it home. See TJ Maxx and there's a piece of quartz. I'm like, we can put glue on it and dust. It's coming home. So yeah, I just barely feel, and I totally identify with that archetype. And when I wrote the book, different people, like I could already know who my best friend's spirit crystal was. I knew who my husband's was. And I would use that like relationship as a way of really helping to flesh out the different ones that maybe I didn't connect with to the level of clear quartz.
Yeah, I always feel, I think, especially back in the early days, like the clear quartz, it was something that it felt easy for me to connect with, but I never really knew why. And I think also back since the early years, it was something that was a little bit easier to access maybe too. So that was part of it. And then I just always liked it. I've always loved just the simplicity of the color, and just always holding it just makes me feel so grounded. And I'm like you, if I'm somewhere, I feel so bad. I too feel so bad for the ones that are just like at the discount store. I'm just like, you're not supposed to be here. So can you walk us through the 6 crystals in your book?
Yeah, so we kind of talked about clear quartz, so I'll kind of go with that one first. Basically, how the book works is the person reading the book, the first part of the book is getting you to connect with crystals. And then through a series of meditations, or your spirit crystal will reveal itself to you. And there's like different ways it reveals itself, and there's different methods too. So sometimes when I talk about meditation, it scares people, but there's alternatives if like meditation's not your jam. And then from there, I kind of encourage the person to like just jump to the spirit crystal that calls to them. So this is in no particular order. So clear quartz is the healer, and that whole archetype is about the healed healer, right? For so long, we had this kind of like broken healer stereotype. It's a very like, we see it in movies, we see it in the new age community, we see it in the witchcraft community, where someone gives so much of themselves as a healer, but they themselves are not fully healed. And so this is more about like, let's heal. So there's a lot of chakra work in that particular chapter about like clearing the chakras and protecting the chakras. There's a lot of spiritual protection for the healer, because the healer tends to be someone who does want to help. That's who they are. They, at the heart of hearts, like would give you the shirt off their back and like feed everybody in the world. Like they're just, but that is draining, and that doesn't always feel good. Right. And they don't always nourish themselves. And so the healer, that chapter is all about helping that healer be a healed healer, be a balanced healer. And so that's speaking from experience. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's me.
Yes. And then rose quartz is connected with the lover. But I went back and forth on the archetype because I also liked Earth Angel for that one, because the person who is connected to rose quartz tends to be the big love. Like they have a really big open heart chakra. They tend to be so loving, and they tend to get hurt easily. And so a lot of that chapter is about healing the heart and teaching that person how to keep that heart open yet protected, right? So I feel like a lot of people that have that as an archetype will come to the book with like very closed off. And maybe not everybody around them knows they have a big heart, but somebody did them wrong. And now it's like, how do we be who we selves? Because like for me, like self-help books and spiritual books are not about changing. It's about like undoing and going back to who you really are. And so that's really what that one's about. And then amethyst is connected with the alchemist. And that's a person who's probably connected with magic and already someone that would be like reading maybe tarot cards, a little more esoteric. You know, we all know those people in in our communities who like deep into high magic and really kind of push the envelope more than, you know, just a candle spell like a lot of us do. They're going to like go to like really deep and kind of the depths, really deep personality, really intelligent. And then citrine is connected with a manifester. And this is probably someone who hasn't manifested a whole lot in their life because they have a lot of blocks. And so that chapter is about removing those blocks so that they can create the life that they want. Because a lot of times with the manifester, they will manifest, but they will also self-sabotage. Like, I want this, this, and this, but then they don't actually like do the steps because they don't feel they deserve it on some level. And then the smoky quartz is the medium. And that again is a healed medium. So it doesn't mean that you have to talk to dead people unless you want to. But these people tend to be like the person that everyone goes to for advice, you know, or when people are sad, they see consolation in them. They tend to maybe when they were children saw ghosts. And then probably like a lot of us had parents that were like, oh, it's nothing. You know, and those kind of abilities get kind of tampered down. And then aventurine is connected with the sage. And these people, again, are super wise, but don't see themselves that way. So it's about undoing all the cultural and societal things that block them from their own intuition and wisdom. And it's deeply connected with like lots of like tea and tea ceremonies and things like that.
So I could see how this would be interesting because like you as a person can observe someone and say, wow, they really seem like they would identify with the spirit crystal. And do you find that most people, like if you, from an outside observer, when they're doing the meditations and things, that they typically become self-aware enough to tap into do you know what I'm saying? Like you can often see how people are, but then are people often self-aware enough to really tap into that for themselves, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah. And so that's where the meditation comes in, is because in the meditative state, they're more open. And so the crystal's just going to come in and the person may be like, what? Like, and that sometimes happens. And when I would do this as a class, people would say, well, at first I was like, that's not right. I definitely thought I was going to be an amethyst this whole time. I did not think it was a rose quartz or whatever. And there's almost like an aversion and they're almost a bit offended. And that's why I say it's so important to go into it all like open mind, because you may go in being like, I'm definitely this. And then that's not what comes through. And I know that from experience because when I did a animal guide ceremony, I was like, I was young and I was like, definitely a cat person. Like I look like a cat. I've always had cats. I love cats. It's going to be a cat. And so we get to the part of the meditation and like nothing came out. My instructor was like, well, you were so dead set that it's going to be this, that whatever it is, isn't probably that and doesn't want to come out. And you have to do it again. So then I had to go do it again on my own. And it was a paw. So then the third time a wolf came out.
A wolf. Wow.
And so it was obviously, I was like, I was closed off because I'm like, it's going to be a cat. Like I was so, you know, only the way an 18 and 19-year-old can be, like, just so like, yeah, I'm definitely so sure. And then the wolf and we've been companions a long time. But before then, I never like thought about a wolf. I didn't think I was connected to, but then the wolf is a teacher. That's like their main archetype. And I was a teacher for 13 years. And like, even now that I'm not officially a teacher, I'm still a teacher. Like, that's my personality. I like to teach. I like to give information. I like to learn and then share what I learn. It was completely fitting. And I'm really in personality, nothing like a cat. And that to me is like a good example of like, you just don't know who your guides are until you really let yourself try.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like we assume based on the descriptions that you gave, I would say, okay, well, I'm definitely clear quartz, but maybe if I sit with it, maybe I'm more amethyst, maybe I'm something else. And do you find that people usually just have one spirit crystal or can you have like more than one?
A few people have two come through. It's rare. I would say like, you know, if 100 people do it, maybe like 4 people will have 2. Every once in a while, someone will have 1 and they're not sure. It'll be like, because a lot of times we identify it through color or through like a emotion or a symbol, and it'll be like hard to decipher and it could go either way. So then in that case, I'm always like, go do both, like go through both, and see, get both crystals connect. And then after that, you're usually able to determine which one. But yeah, every once in a while, it's like, yeah, because we always try to say like, this is how things are going to go, but you're a parent too. So that's not how life works.
No, it never goes the way that you want it to go. So do you have that as like your lifelong ally, or can it change over time?
I would, from what I'm understanding and what I channeled, it's lifelong. But like I said, I work with all of them. And so even though I definitely have this affinity and like this deeper connection with the clear quartz, I definitely can do the exercises and work with the amethyst, right? It just may not be as deep.
So now, if you're going to do this, do you recommend people get all 6 crystals and then sit with them? Or how would you recommend doing the process?
So in the book, the meditations are the best process because you don't have any of the crystals around you. And so it's good to be whatever just comes into your field.
I see.
I feel like that's a little bit better. Like if you were to go into the meditation holding a clear quartz, kind of like cheating. But another way people can do it is by buying like all 6 and doing it that way. And that's totally fine. But I really try to take a minimalist approach where like, if you only want to work with one crystal really in depth, then that's all you need to do and you don't need all 6. That's kind of optional. But yeah, there's different approaches. And so that's definitely one approach. But like a lot of people doubt their own intuition. So if I were to say, like, sit with these 6 crystals, people are going to doubt what they feel. But with a meditation and I'm guiding you and you're like, okay, well, there's no denying this is what comes through. And when I'm more open and my unconsciousness is more open, they tend to believe it better, like trust themselves.
Yeah, I think it's really hard for people to trust their intuition. I mean, I can understand that. And that's something that, I even myself have been working on a lot this year, and just like taking note of those moments when these things like pop into my mind and then actually acknowledging them. Like I knew that was going to happen, or, just like there's so many examples, even in a day. And it's just acknowledging that and realizing that it's your intuitive side that's speaking and it's not anything else. So yeah, I'm excited to try these meditations. Your book has like over 40 different practices that you can lean into. How did you decide what to include?
Well, like I said, I come from a teaching background. And so I can't just write a book. It's got to be interactive because I'm like, I don't know, when we passively read, we're not really going to retain it but we will when we're writing. And so there's a lot of journal pauses in there. So it's like, I want people to write and I ask them to humor me and write. But all of the practices are things I've actually done. So they are all things that I believe our spiritual journey, our healing journey is lifelong. And I believe it's like a spiral and we're constantly kind of shedding skin and shedding things. And we keep spiraling deeper and deeper into who we really are. And so these are all things I've done in my life and in my own journey that were from my own book Shadows. They're all tried and true. And so I was like, oh, this would be really helpful for this person and this archetype, or this would be really healing. And so that's kind of how they got put in.
It just seems like you have such a wealth of knowledge from all your years practicing. I mean, I knew you were a witch at age 13, and then the journey has kind of gone on from there. I'm sure that you have a lot to share with us. So I'm very, very excited to get my hands on your book, and hopefully I will have it in my hands by next week, I think is when it's supposed to arrive. So let's see here. So if you have someone that walks into the metaphysical store and they see your beautiful book on the stand by the front and they're new to crystals, is there something that you would recommend them starting with?
Yeah. So I would like them to read it in order.
Okay.
The first 3 chapters really explain my own philosophy of crystals, like how to cleanse them, how to tell if they're real or fake, how to store them, how to work with them, how to connect with them. There's a lot of that. And then basically also how to use your intuition in the future to find which crystals you want to work with. So how to connect with what I call the collective soul or spirit of that crystal energy. And so, yeah, definitely do that. But if they're there and they also happen to buy a crystal, just for fun, and they're like, I'm going to get the book and I'm just going to get this crystal that spoke to me. If that crystal is tumbled or can go in water, one of the best ways to connect with a crystal is to take a bath or shower with it. And I swear by that method. Like, keep it in the shower with you for a week or go put it in the bath. And like, it's like you're making your whole bathtub a cauldron with crystal energy and you're soaking it up.
I love that. Ooh, I love that. Yes. Because I know, I mean, even for me, it can be so overwhelming. We get interested in this topic and there's so many books out there on crystals. There's so much information that sometimes it can feel like a lot to try to know where to go or what to do or where to begin. So I love that you have that whole intro part. It's kind of get someone started and then can kind of help guide them down that road, because it can be really, I mean, there's so many stones, there's so many properties, there's so many elements to them that, and I also love too that it's 6 stones, that it's not this, you know, large number. I think that sometimes when we are able to just like channel and work with a smaller amount, it feels like we can connect so much easier.
Yeah, it's 6 and they're all easily, like, you can find them all.
Yes.
It's not like moldavite, which is moldavite's very rare and expensive. There's a lot of fake.
Yes.
These are like 6 that almost every metaphysical shop has. My local shop sells them all for $1 each, like a tumbled one. I mean, they're not expensive. They're like all over the world. It's not like rare. It's you can find clear quartz. So you find quartz in your backyard almost anywhere.
Sure.
You know, so it's pretty easy for people.
And it doesn't really matter the size of the stone, right? I mean, it can be very exciting to have a big, gorgeous display piece, but you don't really need necessarily anything bigger than just some tumbled stones to work with.
Yeah, like I talk about them in the book. Size doesn't matter when it comes to crystals. And then I like the little chipped crystals. Like I have in Our Coven recently, I talked about how you can grid a tarot card. It was also on my podcast.
Ooh.
So you can take it. And so, yeah, my YouTube channel has a video on it. But you can take a tarot card or an oracle card and using those little chipped crystals or beads, which are also, those little bottles of crystals are often like $1 at like museum stores, like targeted at children. I'm a big children, and so I like them. And so you can take those and you can grid a card that you really want to incorporate in your magic. So, you know, like, let's say you really want like happiness, right? The 10 of Cups with the big rainbow and like all the happiness. Grid that baby up with some crystals and attention that like, I want to bring this into my life. And it's like such a little easy spell. It's inexpensive. It's tiny because if you don't have a lot of altar space, it's just one little card. So yeah, I love those little tiny bottles of crystals.
Yeah, I definitely have a few of those at my house. That's an amazing idea. That sounds so fun. I just kind of want to go do that right now.
You should. It's fun.
Yes.
Hey, sorry to interrupt, but I have something you need to hear. Have you been feeling a shift, a pull towards something more? Whether you're manifesting new opportunities, confidence, or a major glow up, the universe is listening, and I've got just the thing. In a crystal clarity call, I'll intuitively select 3 crystals to support your manifestations, pull a tarot or oracle card for deeper guidance, and craft custom journal prompts to help you take action. It's more than a reading, it's an energetic roadmap. So if you're ready to align with your highest self, DM me on Instagram at mystical.mama.ash for details and pricing. Let's bring your magic to life.
So what's one ritual or meditation from the book that you feel personally transformed from?
I really like my Akashic Records prayer. So I learned to read them like from Linda Howe's Akashic Records prayer. She's kind of like the mother of Akashic Records, like the new age kind of. And then, so I used her prayer for such a long time. And I was like, okay, I want to do a new prayer. Like I want my own prayer for working with the crystals. And so that's in the healer chapter. And I love it. That's what I go to use now. So I was like, I want something that I will actually use and not like this is just for the book. And it's my go-to now.
I'll wait to read that. That sounds amazing. I feel like diving into your book is going to be so good just for me, like to just take that time to just kind of carve out little bits of time to just sit with my stones, tell my husband to go watch the kids and just have a moment, because I've been craving that so much. As much as I love all of these things and I'm working on the podcast and I have my regular job, it just feels so chaotic all the time. And I have been desperately trying to find like something that I can really connect with and take the time to carve out and work on. So I think this is going to be perfect. I just cannot wait. Now, in your book, you also reference ancient civilizations like Atlantis and Lemuria. How do those connect to spheric crystals?
Yeah, so that's where I went left to center, you know. That's where we took a detour.
Okay, before you start on that, can you explain a little bit to those listeners that may not even know what that is? Could you explain those civilizations a little bit and then get into it?
Yeah. So if I'll just put this out there, if you have like the Disney Channel with Hulu, there's this show called Expeditions Unknown.
Okay.
Used to be on the Travel Channel, and he has episodes on Lemuria, Atlantis, and a couple other like lost civilizations. Highly recommend. Also, really good episode on Crystal Skulls. They're all like older, and it's like our family movie night where like we're always watching that show. But so that's fun. It's like an easy, like a lot of people have access to that. It'd be a great like way to just be like, okay, what is she talking about? Really getting to see. So basically, in short, islands appear and disappear, right? I studied geology. I almost became a volcanologist. It was like very close call. I really like love volcanoes, and I have lots of obsidian and volcanic. I like to visit volcanoes. So islands pop up and disappear all the time because of shifting and volcanic stuff. And so the idea is that there were these islands, and Atlantis is referenced in ancient Greek, and it's the only place we ever have it referenced. And Lemuria gets the name because it was like where they thought how lemurs traveled, because it made no sense. Like lemurs were in one place and another place. And they're like, had to be a spot they could have traveled, right? So they named it, basically stands for lemurs, Lemuria. Like it's all lemurs, right? Then in like the 70s, so I'm like super lucky, or was it coincidence or synchronicity? Don't know. I live like 5 minutes away from one of the only metaphysical libraries that I know of. And I'm a library member. So I pay $30 a year to visit my Rogue Valley library. And they have like predominantly the things they have are from the 70s and 80s. And when I go in there and I start looking at like Edward Casey and like all this channeled material, I deep dive. I'm neurodivergent. And so I don't just like surface things. I'm like, I want to know about dive into channeling. I'm an expert tomorrow. I'm going to stay up all night and read. I'm going to get on the podcast. I'm going to watch the videos. Like I live and breathe, whatever. So I took a really deep dive on channeling. And that's when I started learning about how a lot of people said that they had these past lives in Lemuria or Atlantis. And they were these advanced civilizations very similar to ancient Egypt that were islands that are no longer there. And both of these islands like sank back into the ocean. And there's so many stories, right? There's even like, I think a cartoon from the 90s. It wasn't like a main one like Disney. There's one about like Atlantis and, looking for Atlantis. And so for a long time, like we as people have had a lot of these stories. Like Avalon is another one, right? The idea that there was this island of women who were goddess worshippers and witches, and sounds like paradise, basically.
It does.
They'd only have men there to like have babies, and then they left the island, like ideal. But anyways, so Avalon is another one. And so like all these cultures have these stories of these people that are advanced and spiritual, and then they're gone. And so it's really interesting that so many cultures around the world have these kind of things. So I really got interested, and I was like, okay, maybe these spirit crystals perhaps are connected, because I already knew clear quartz is connected to Lemuria because you can buy Lemurian seed crystals. Mm-hmm. And that's just a type of clear quartz, and you don't need, and like people like listening, you don't need to buy them because they tend to be like twice as much as regular quartz, right? They get labeled this way. But it's the idea that in Lemuria, they put their records of like their entire civilization into these clear quartz and then like buried them back into earth. Like it was like ley lines and grids. And so if you get one of those, you can connect to Lemuria. Very interesting idea. And why it's interesting is because I am a big Jamie Sams fan. She was really great. She's no longer with us, but she was an amazing writer and oracle creator. She was indigenous, but she also traveled and talked to other tribes and other elders. And she talks about how a lot of indigenous Native American stories talk about stones as record keepers, that all stones hold record. And so I'm like, interesting that she's saying this, and then these new age people are saying this, basically the same thing. Mm-hmm. And so when that happens, I think there's got to be something to it. And so, yeah, I sat with each crystal and I'm like, are you connected to like an ancient kind of energy? And they each give me their answers, and those are in the book. And it's not like you have to believe that. So I'm not asking people when they read the book that they have to believe Atlantis existed. But let me just say that the energy of Atlantis is real, right? I believe that we're like all multidimensional. I believe in past lives and stuff. And so to me, it's just like, if I already believe that life on other planets existed, it's not really that far-fetched to believe that there was like a island that disappeared, to me. But especially when it's just people, like all these people have channeled like the same story over and over again. That just seems too coincidental.
For sure. I mean, how is that? I mean, if you have all these people in all these different places and they are having these similar experiences and they don't know each other and they have no connections and it's all the same, like, to me, it seems kind of odd that that wouldn't be true, right? It's the same thing with life on other planets. Why are we so special? Why wouldn't there? With the universe is so incredibly vast, why would we be the only ones? Maybe we just don't even know what we're looking for. I mean, maybe those other things exist, but our way of being and ourselves and how we are built, we just aren't able to see them because they're just beyond what we can understand. I mean, oh yeah, I love going on deep dives about that. That's kind of one of my favorite things to go down rabbit holes on as well. It's so fascinating. I mean, just to think about all these different civilizations. I love volcanoes too. Islands. We just got back from Iceland. That was just like a dream. Have you ever been there? Because that's just like one giant volcano.
No, it's totally on like my list. It's like a full travel list, and that's up there because I love volcanoes.
Oh my gosh. It really was like stepping into another world. There was just like this energy about that land there. It felt so different than anywhere else I'd ever traveled. It just truly looked like you were on another planet. And it just felt so peaceful and connected. And I've always felt so connected to Iceland. I have no idea why. I'm not Icelandic. I don't know. I'm like, I must have been Icelandic in a past life or something, because I just like when I was there, it's just like, oh my gosh, this is my home. And I can't wait to go back. Yeah, it was incredible. So what does it mean to connect with a crystal through like a past life or soul level memory?
Yeah, so it just means that there's a resonance, right? I think so. Like I said, this is like a deep dive, but if you read the Akashic records, you have to believe in past lives, right? Because this record is not like, how could this record just be of my one little life? Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? And I'll just be honest, like, I really didn't believe, or like, I didn't give any thought to past lives pretty much my entire life. I'm like, yeah, I definitely believe that we have past lives, but like, I don't care about my past lives. Like, and here now, like I wasn't going to be clean, you know, like I wasn't, because everyone's like an Egyptian goddess in their past life or something. And I'm like, okay. So I just was not interested. And then I went to a rock fair, and it was like not a crystal. It wasn't woo woo. It was like a legit, like these are all fine rocks in the desert.
Yeah.
You know, like the salt of the earth type people. And I wanted a mala, like a meditation necklace of 108 beads. And so I found a stand that had them. And it was two people running the stand. And the one guy is just like sitting with his head down, like on his phone and just like ignoring everybody. And then I wasn't talking to him, I was talking to the other lady. And all of a sudden he looks up, puts his phone down, comes over, like grabs my hand. And he's like, "You were my sister in a past life." And I'm like, okay. He's like, "Can I hold your hand?" I'm like, "Sure." "Yeah, you're already holding it and we're here. This is a moment." And he's like, "Yeah, you gave out so many flowers and thousands of people came to see you at the temple and you did," and he just like goes on and on. And then he like, my family was not with me. I purposely like, cause you have kids, you understand. I was like, I really want to look at the stand. Take them somewhere.
You want to enjoy your time. Yeah. You don't want to get.
And my husband and kids are like way down, and he's like, "Your angels and guides are so strong. Your husband and your children are so protected." And he pointed to them, but he never saw them with me. And so it was just like mind blowing. And that happened. And then in like the next week, 3 separate people asked me if I read Akashic records, and I didn't even know what they were.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
It was so wild. So then I'm like, I think I need to. Because this guy just gave me like an impromptu past life reading and this map. So when you connect with a crystal on like this other past life, it's just an instant recognition. This man recognized me. That's how it feels. Like someone will be in the store, a crystal shop. And it's a shame they're not everywhere, because it's very hard to feel that resonance online. But being in a shop and you're just like, I just need to surround myself in labradorite.
Yes.
You know, or whatever. It's a connection that you have for sure.
Wow, that's fascinating. I mean, that had to have been just so like jarring to some degree.
Yeah, well, I bought the mala, obviously. I'm like, yes, I need to buy this rose quartz mala from you guys. Yeah, and I went home and I journaled. I was like, I don't want to forget this. Like, this was so strange. But I was already on the path of my whole life radically changing and like leaving teaching and finding myself and like all these things. And that just like was like, okay, you're doing this. You're doing past life stuff now. And that really helped me in my healing journey, which is why I included it in the book. I'm like, you know what? I think by this point, most spiritual people believe in past lives. And I think that it's helpful to get some direction. Like if you don't have, sometimes Akashic records or readings are very expensive. If you don't have that kind of access, I'm giving you a clue. Like, hey, you should look at Egypt and see if you feel like any resonance. And if they do, okay, great. We started there and like, just keep going kind of thing.
What, this is kind of like an aside. What about your husband? Is he like you? Is he very spiritual? Is he connected to these things? I mean, because I'm just asking for my own personal, because my husband, he's like, his path is very different than mine.
I recently had a friend, it was like our first time hanging out, and she's like, so how did you get a Greg? Because you're a Dharma, and you guys are obviously Dharma.
Oh, that's so cute.
How did you get a Greg? And I was like,
Yeah.
for so long in this store, because I totally forgot about that show. If people are
Good show.
yeah, if you're too young to know what that is, look it up, because it was such a cute show.
So cute.
We're definitely like, I'm Mulder, he's Scully. You know, like we can use all the 90s kind of references. But yeah, he told me when he met me, he knew that I would help him on his spiritual path.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And so he's he's gotten more open as the years have gone on. And yeah, he just, at one point, he's like, you're spiritually evolving. Like, I can see it. And I don't want to like not evolve with you. And so he was more open, and he meditates and he journals. He's definitely not like as deep end as I am, for sure. But he's more open, I would say, now than ever.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I love hearing about supportive spouses and things like that. I really like to highlight them too, because they're there to support us during all of our things. And fortunately, I have, you hear people complaining about their spouses and stuff all the time. And I just like to cheer for the good hubbies that are around and support the wives and help with the kids and the whole 9 yards while we are able to, follow our passions. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Or the people that have to be broom closeted within their own home. That's always
For sure.
like, I'm glad they're doing their spiritual path, but I know how hard that would be. Like,
I think it would be very hard. I mean, I think it's like, for me, I can't not be the way that I am. It's not just it's not just like a spiritual path. It's like a whole it's like a whole existence. Like, I can't not exude what I am.
yeah, I mean, we start decorating for Halloween in August.
Sure.
So there's just no hiding it. Like, I remember when my daughter was a little bit younger, she was like, oh, are you going to take down some of like your artwork before my friend and her mom come here? And I was like, no, I'm not. And it's just like, I have Tomas Io is my favorite artist. He has this big Pan's Labyrinth thing I have, and like some other little like Edgar Allan Poe type stuff. Then she realized like, okay, like it's really not that weird. But like living with me, both my kids, my son's going through a little phase too, where he's like, I don't want my friends to know that you're a witch. I'm like, well, the book's going to be around town. Like, I don't know.
It's going to be hard to hide it, but I think at the end of the day, it's really nice too for us as parents to just be really authentic in who we are. And also for the kids to realize that like some of these terms, like we're still just regular people despite, these labels or whatever that we have given ourselves or other people have given us. And it's quite often not like what everyday average society really thinks it is.
Yeah,
it's so much more beautiful. Yeah, I'm a mom, I'm a witch, whatever, but most people don't really realize what that really even means. I mean, to me, like all the witches I know are like the most beautiful, grounded, like amazing people. It's nothing like negative. I don't know. The connotations are just so silly most of the time.
Agreed. Their kids are just out in nature and connecting with animals. Like, it's so positive.
So I'd love to talk a little bit about your community, your Our Coven community.
Yeah, thank you. So my whole spiritual life, I've always had a friend or two that were also on the same path. And I would say that's pretty rare.
Yes.
And I know that, and I really I count those blessings. And so I like being a teacher. I was a teacher for a really long time. And one of the things that I loved is I had my same students for 7 years. So we went from 7th through 12th grade. So I had the same.
Wow, that's a long time.
I changed schools to be with them. Like, I
Wow.
got a new job and everything. And like when the principal interviewed me for the high school, he's like, why are you here? I was like, I just want to like follow the same kids. I just want to like have this experience. I was like, but also really like your school. And I'd already had his son, and he was like, yeah, he really loved you. And my strongest thing as a teacher was not teaching English, it was building community. So like I had kids who would tell me like, I don't talk in anybody else's class. Like, I don't feel comfortable sharing my opinions. I had a lot of kids come out to me. I'm an English teacher. Like, my lesbian niece is always like, English teacher, like, it's your pride too, because we all come out to you and you're the truth tell. That's a big deal. Like, I'm the first for you to come out to. Like, you trust me. You have to. Yeah, and that's community. And so my whole thing is we lived in a pretty rural area with a lot of foster. There's some gang activity. There was a lot of poverty. It's like in this hour that we're together, like this is our family, it's sanctuary, like you're safe here. No, like maybe at home you're not safe, but you're safe here. And I just loved that. And that was the like thing I missed the most about teaching is community. So I thought to myself, like, I would really like to build a community. And I totally did put the cart before the horse. Like I had like no followers on social media when I created Our Coven, but I'm like, people are just they're gonna find it. We're gonna build a coven, and we have like over 100 people in there now. So it like definitely is worked. People have found it with no real advertising. It's just like if they are meant to be, they'll find it kind of thing. And we're just cozy. Like every day there's several live chats. We read books together. I love one of the favorite things we do is I'll find like a cool card layout and I'll put it in there. And then I partner them up, the people that want to, and they read cards for each other. And the one we just did recently, it was like a Pedro Pascal theme.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, you fight dirty. Like, how could I say no to Pedro? So like they all read one of the questions, like how to be your own daddy. It was so fun. And we do lives and basically based off of what they want to know. Like a couple of them were asking early this year about land spirits. So I was like, let's just do a whole live class on land spirits. And we went over how to connect with them and answer questions. They wanted to know about protection, did a whole class on spiritual protection. Then there's like a little resource library on like anything you could think of. And so if you join, you get like all of that. You can do the lives. You can make friends. Like I love it. It's like social media can be so gross.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what if we have like a private container with nobody giving us a DM being like, hello, beloved, I have a message from your ancestors and all this. And no one trying to be your sugar mama or daddy. And no one like making ugly little comments on your posts and saying like, you're going to burn in hell. Like, what if we took all that away? We just all people like, so that's what we do.
That's so beautiful. I mean, I feel like people that have similar beliefs, it is growing, but it's still not as common as other spiritual paths. So for me, I mean, that's like a big reason why I even wanted to start doing a podcast, because I wanted to connect with people that had similar interests as me, because where I live, I have one friend, and it's hard sometimes to even, everybody's busy and it's always hard to get together. And so, yeah, it's hard. It's always hard to find people that you connect with. So I think that creating a community is perfect. And then, you have that background in it. So it's, it all comes together, and that's nice. And then you guys can just have these beautiful friendships. And then, what else is fun is like when you meet people online, and then some people can eventually meet up in person. That's always fun, And
I'm like, I would like to do an Our Coven meetup. That's in my mind. But yeah, they're just like the nicest people. Like I go in there, they're just supportive of one another. It's like someone asks, we used to have a rule, there's no stupid questions. Like someone will ask a question and be like, real baby witch question. And everyone's so willing to help because they were once there. Like, it's so beautiful. Yeah, it's like a positive. Like, social media can be draining, but I go in there, I always feel uplifted. I'm always like, I feel happier after being in there. So
you feel like within your community, you have people of all different knowledge levels.
For sure. Yeah, we have people from all over the world. So it's not just the US. And we have people of all different ages. And we just, it's like some people were beginner witches, and then now they stayed in Our Coven. And so they like, maybe this is their second or third year. Some people, it's their third year in there. I love seeing them like reach out and help other people because they didn't feel that confident in the beginning. But again, it's like a safe container. So it's not like somebody who you don't know is going to jump on your comment and be like, that's not what real witches do. There's a lot of that on like witch talk and TikTok in general. Like, that's not what witches do. Like, okay. So, it's like that. It's like, yeah, it just feels, it feels happy. And yeah, lots of different levels. I probably have the most experience because, like I said, it's been 30 years. So yeah, it's been 30 years.
So when did you start your podcast?
Oh, so I work with a few publicists, and one of my favorite publicists is Pip at Hay House. They are like one of the sweetest human beings. And they were like talking about Aliza Kelly, this really great astrologer, and they sent me her book. They were like, she'd probably do a live with you. It's like, stop. Like, she's been on the Drew Barrymore show. She's not going to do a live with you.
Yeah, big time.
And then Pip was like, no, I think I can get her to do it. And then she did. She did a TikTok live with me. And it was like, I was trying to be cool. I'm like,
yeah.
She's not a huge mega person. She is, though. And she's so nice and so gracious. And then I was like, I kind of, I've always liked, obviously like to talk, but I really like to listen. My family will be like leaving me in a grocery store and come back. And I made lifelong friends with someone, like who just told me their entire life story. And I know how their mom died. My family's like, oh my God, can we go home? Stop, So I've always had that, like, just love that. I love that relationship. Again, it's about community, about relationships. So after Pip hooked me up with Lisa Kelly, I'm like, I can do anything. And so I was like, granddaughter Crow, I think you would really love her, by the way.
Yeah, I've seen some of your clips.
Yeah, I think you should do like a show trade. Like you should be on her show and she should be on yours.
I would love that. Yeah.
That connection. But she's amazing. And I asked her after I was on her podcast, hey, can you just show me how to do a podcast? She's so gracious. And so she went over it and I was like, okay, I have no excuse now because now she showed me how to do it. And so then I did a first season.
I love it. Yeah, I'm always looking for, I think a lot of us are always trying to look for other podcasts that we like, enjoy, voices that we like to listen to, people that bring on all different types of guests. It's fun, especially because it's kind of like a niche thing. So, some of the podcasts are pretty good and some of them are like have 5 episodes and then they kind of fizzle out. So yeah, I've really been enjoying your podcast. I went back and I was listening to it from the beginning because I love to hear the stories, like the early stories of how you became you.
That's really nice. Thank you.
Yes, of course. So what's surprised you most about how readers are engaging with spirit crystals? I know the book just came out, but I see that there's already, people are already leaving reviews and things like that. So,
well, one of the biggest, I guess, compliments was, and made me feel really good, was Nicholas Pearson. Gave me like a really nice endorsement. And it's like in the book.
Yeah, I read that.
He's like, people are listening to Shamus and they know who he is. He has so many books on crystals and he's a real expert. Like he knows the science and the he's a special guy. Like he really, his books are really amazing and he's like a true expert in the field. And so when he was like, yeah, this is something different, I like it, I was like, it's really emboldened, like, okay, because that's someone who knows what they're really talking about. Like he's studies. And so that felt like huge. And then someone read in Our Coven, I have a whole section on like, if you're neurodivergent, some accommodations for meditation. And she was like, of course, Jenny Bell did that for us, neurodivergents. And she was like super grateful. And that brought tears to my eyes because it's it really has nothing to do with crystals. But I'm like, you know what? Like so many people are realizing they are neurodivergent and it's a block to meditate. Like sometimes you can't really meditate for different reasons. People have they can't visualize whatever. And so I wanted to include that. There was like I said, really no reason to include it other than I wanted to. And for someone to feel seen, that was huge.
Yeah. And I think sometimes even for those, for those of us that don't really identify that way, I think sometimes just having alternative ways to connect with things is nice because I know for me, meditating is very challenging for me. I have a very hard time with certain aspects of it. And so I'm looking forward to trying some of these other methods. I think that will be really fun. And what does your crystal practice look like now? What's do you have a daily practice? Is it something that's just so ingrained in your world? It's not even a specific thing you do every day?
No, it is. They're all over the house. So I have gridded the house and they're actually all over the yard as well. And I do work with my crystal skulls. And then I do, there's a ritual in the book about using a clear quartz to cleanse your chakras every day. And that's something I actually do every day. I really just like to have things tuned up. Good. When I give readings and I do Reiki for people, I always have crystals with me. I always have a grid. I grid every new moon and then it stays till the full moon. And then I do another grid. And it's always for different things. So yeah, they're just a part of the life. Everyone in the family has them and they're in the car. They're literally everywhere. That you look around the house and there's one there,
I love it. That's how my house is too. I love it. It's just, it feels so good. It feels so good. It looks beautiful. It just has incorporating all of this into my world has been so life-changing and it's brought so much peace and so much joy. And I know a lot of people in my world and my family, they don't get it.
Yeah.
And they tease me about it endlessly and they think it's a joke, but it doesn't really matter because they're not living my experience. So I know that it works, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, they don't get it, but then they'll say, "Oh, your house is so nice. It feels so nice in here."
Oh, your house feels so nice. Oh, but do you have like what do you recommend for, I'm having a really hard time sleeping at night, but what do you recommend? I'm like, you were just making fun of me and now you're asking for recommendations. So, okay.
Yep. Interesting.
Whatever. So I have taken up plenty of your time today, Jenny. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been so incredible. I can't wait to get my hands on the book and do some of the things and share more with my own Big Crystal Energy community with, just the practices in your book and all the things, and connect with my own spirit crystal and find out which one is calling to me. I'm going to see if it's what I think it is, or if I'm going to be surprised. That's exciting to think about. Anyway, Jenny, thank you so much for sharing your magic, your wisdom, and your spirit with us. This conversation has me wanting to take a long walk with my quartz and notebook. So can you tell us about any upcoming events that you have going on and where everybody can find you?
Yeah, you can find me at jennycbell.com, and I put out a monthly newsletter. So that lets you kind of know what I'm doing and where I'm at and upcoming events. I don't really have anything that I can think of off the top of my head, but come fall, there will be a lot. August here is gross. I live in the PNW and it's smoke season. And so August often has me kind of like in hermit mode and whatnot. So, and there's not always like traveling and whatever. So definitely come September, a lot more happens in October because everyone is a witch at that time. And I love to kind of for their witchy moments. Yeah.
Sure. But we can find your book where we can find it everywhere.
Yeah. And you know what really is helpful for all authors, especially new authors, is if you have a local bookstore, ask them to, because then they get the money and we want to support local bookshops. But then also maybe they'll order two. They'll order one for you and then put one on the shelf, and that helps me too, and it helps somebody else. So yeah, you can get it at Barnes & Noble and Amazon and all those places, Thrift Books, bookshop.org, like all the online. But if you have a local shop or a local crystal shop too, let them know. Be like, hey, can you order this book for me? That'd be awesome.
Okay, amazing. And you're on TikTok and Instagram, and you have your Our Coven community and your Cozy Coven Chats. So lots of fun places to connect with you. All right. Well, and of course, I'll leave all the links in the show notes where we can find her. And I'm even thinking I'll put some links, if I can find them, to those shows that you were talking about, Atlantis and Lemuria and stuff, because that sounds really interesting. I personally want to check all that out because that sounds
fascinating. Have you seen that show? It's a good one for your 8-year-olds. And like, there's a few that are a little scary, and you'll know, like, it'll like murder something. But there's my son is like hooked on that show, and it's such a fun like family show because it's like he's learning history, and then I'm in it for the crystal skulls. The crystal skull episode was so good because he actually had the Mitchell Hedges skull on, and I've never seen it in person, so it's kind of like seeing it in person. And then the guy let him do a test on it that had never been done, and so that was like,
now you've really piqued my interest. So I've got to check this out. I got to go do a deep dive.
Yeah, because there's only 4 books on crystal skulls. So not a whole lot of information. Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Jenny. And I'm so excited for you, and congratulations. It's a big deal.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for ordering the book. And if you have questions or anything, let me know. Or, if people in the community have questions, I'd be happy. But yeah, definitely after this, I think I'll send an email between you and Granddaughter Crow. I think you guys really hit it off. So.
Oh, yes. I would love that. That would be amazing. I'm always looking to connect with new and interesting people and learn from them and all of the things. So.
And have you had Nicholas on the show?
No, I have not built up the courage.
Okay. So I would be happy to be your in-between and ask on your behalf if you're interested.
Oh, wow. That'd be amazing. Yeah. I know he has a new Witching Stones or something coming out soon. So I was like, okay. Maybe now is a good time, because he's just such a wealth of knowledge. He seems so nice. He just seems so like real and down to earth. And like, but we get in our little like fangirl moments and we're just like, oh my gosh, like, can I do it? But
yeah, I did not, they asked me like, do you have any author friends? I was like, no. And they're like, who would be like heart of hearts, dream of dreams to have endorsed? I was like, oh, Nicholas Pearson. And then they were like, oh, Nicholas will talk to you. I was like, what? I almost died. I was like, oh, he'll talk to me, really? And he's just been so nice with the whole book. Like I've had questions. He's such a nice person. So
I mean, he seems like it. He's always like, if I'll send him like a little DM or something about, whatever, like on Instagram or anything, he always responds back. So he must be just
He totally
like okay. All right.
Yeah. Because he was on Unturned Pages. Do you know that show?
Mm-mm.
It's a pretty small podcast, and he was on it. And so I feel like he's just open.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Well, until next time, keep your hearts open, your crystals cleansed, and your intentions spooky and sparkly. All right, Jenny, have a beautiful day. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much for jumping down the rabbit hole with me. If you connected with this episode in any way, I would love it if you could share it with a friend. Also, please tag me on social media. I'm at mystical.mama.ash or at Big Crystal Energy Podcast, mostly on Instagram. It helps so much getting my episodes out there and finding more magical, kooky, and spooky friends. Sending you all Big Crystal Energy. Cheers!